Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Draglist Live, where we bench race with the world's top drag racers. My name's Bill Pratt. It's great to be with you tonight. And tonight I'm so excited because we're going to bring you Roger Eckhardt. His bad attitude Fiat exemplifies the wild and woolly ultras of the past, but it does it with high-tech parts from the future. And we're going to talk about Roger and that great efforts on the Chaos series. Before we bring Roger in, let's go to John. John, how are you doing?
Doing great here, BP, and howdy from Houston, everybody. Please join us on the live chat. I'll take notes and I'll pass your questions and comments along to Bill and Roger.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And folks, click the little thumbs up down there to like the show and share it to let your friends know we have Roger here live to prove it. Let's bring him in. Roger Eckhardt, welcome to the show.
I appreciate that, fellas. If it wasn't for you guys teaching a 77-year-old man how to operate, my grandkids are in college or out in Arizona, so I have no in my Andrew, one of my crew members, and Lee Lovell, they're the they're the backbone of my computer guru stuff. I just set the valves and static time the motor, and Andrew keeps all the nuts and bolts from falling off. And Lee does the computer work and the data logger. So, but yeah, we're doing pretty good at it. We went in the last chaos. We went down to Dallas. Oh golly, we fought and fought and fought, and we're not. I don't care how good you are at this stuff. There's always something that stumps you.
Right.
And Lee would do the burnout, and as soon as he got off the throttle, it would shut itself off. So the first we get it back to the car, back to the trailer, and the first thing I do is, well, it's got to be fuel. So I open up the fuel filter, and it's completely empty. So that's it. It's got to be the fuel filter. So we started checking bypasses and lines and all this stuff, and we pulled the line off of the fuel tank, and we got an 1.25 inch fuel tank line, and it's just gushing. So it can't be that, but so we put it all back together and spun the motor over, started and ran, and weaned the throttle a couple times, and it seemed to run pretty good. So at that point, we decided to go back up start line for round number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Started up, went out there, and killed it. As soon as it got off the throttle, it stopped. Bring it back. It's got to be the fuel. So we're checking the fuel. Well, on our third attempt to go up there, this is 2 times now, it wouldn't run. On the third attempt, went up there, same exact thing. Bring it back. I went after Lee Chook and changed a bunch of the bypasses and things like that, thinking it might be one of those. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let's try it. So I told Andrew, Andrew, go back there and plug the battery in. Well, he walks right. He says, there's no battery back there. So what do you mean there's no battery? He says, no, there's no battery in the battery holder. Well, I jump on the side by side to go up the starting line to retrieve my Milwaukee battery because they're not cheap. And about the time I got in reverse, Andrew says, well, here it is. Here it is. I found it. It slid up underneath this area here. So we plugged it back in and started running. Well, that's when we figured out we've got Dave Bridgewater, which builds a heck of a car. He put a system on my car that if it loses electricity, it shuts the power off to the car.
Got
completely. It shuts the mags off. It shuts everything off. Well, that battery was sliding out of that Milwaukee holder and shutting it off.
Right.
So we get a little I order from Amazon, I order this little strap, and we go up there to Eddyville, Iowa for the next race. Get up there for that. We had this thing zip tied and strapped down, not ratchet strap, but a cam lock strap. Man, we went up there, and when we left Dallas, we were like number 37 in points, 39 somewhere in there in the Funny Car Chaos. Man, the car just went right on down through there. We got this problem fixed now. We're ready to go. So we qualified the Friday night. We went and we don't run our car as hard as we could. So we went down through and turned to 413, And Chris Graves comes walking by and says, "Well, there goes Fast Time." And I'm thinking, "Fast Time? What do you mean?" He says, "Well, yeah, you number one qualifier." I said, "You're kidding me. We got nitro cars. I'm running alcohol, and we're not pushing this thing hard." So what it was is everybody was throwing everything they could at the track to try to get qualifying times. And we just went down to the 418, and man, we just had Fast Time Friday night.
Right.
Well, Sunday or Saturday, we took and decided to throw everything we had on it. And Sunday, we came, and Chris Graves come down and says, "Well, you're number one qualifier." And I thought, "There's no way." He said, "Yeah, you're number one qualifier in the B field. That time that you turned, everybody outran you in the A field, so now you're number one in the B field." So we were pretty happy with that.
I love it.
But you look at this funny car chaos, and I'm gonna hammer here a little bit, but you look at NHRA. There's guys that show up at NHRA just to make the $10,000 qualifying money.
Yeah.
And that's it. They don't have enough cars to make a field. And look at what Chris is doing.
Yeah.
We had 60 plus cars, I believe, down there in Texas.
Yeah.
We had 40 something at Eddyville, Iowa. And I don't know what we're going to have at Cordova this weekend, but I think we're going to have 39, 40 more cars at Cordova, Illinois.
I'm a big fan, I tell you.
And the fun thing about it is I can build my motor in my garage and be competitive.
Yeah.
And that's the way it used to be,
Right.
And it's these guys are buying these motors that are they got more invested in their motors than I got in my whole tow rig and car and everything.
Right. And you put down a solid run and you can get low ET for the whole thing and low ET for B the next day.
Yeah. Well, then we come up, we run first. We won the first round, and we went to the final round. And the battery shook loose again.
Oh man.
So we had tire shaking out, but we were happy. But anyway, we went from like 37th to 7th place in points just in one weekend. So
nice.
We're happy with that. We're not chasing the points. There's going to be I will not go to Mocan. I don't feel safe at that racetrack.
Really? I just heard somebody say that about Eddyville, and we love Eddyville, but
Eddyville, I tell you what, my personal opinion about Eddyville, I would rather take the cornfield than take the guardrail at Mocan.
Fair point.
I lost Rich Vogler on the very same guardrail that they have at Mocan.
Oh my gosh, you knew Rick.
See, I ran sprint cars for 31 years in midgets.
Right.
And Rich Vogler and I, we raced together and raced against each other. And what it was is when they put that arm guard in there, they put it in wrong. They put it, instead of having it overlapping where if a car hit it, it did not peel it up. They put it the opposite way, come around the corner, and Rich Vogler hit it, and it decapitated him.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a tough way we do this. Is that's how you learn and that's how you make it better. But you think maybe we can get a little. Yeah, there's always going to be something pushing the envelope, but
yeah. Well, that's what racing's about, I mean, every time this is whether I'm running the sprint car or the funny car or the altered, I know this may be my last time. So, when I talk to the kids, my family, hey, I'll be right back. I'll be right back. When I get in the car and we get buckled in there, and hey, I'll see you here at the end of the track. I'll see you here in a minute. I'll be back in a second,
Mm-hmm.
And, it was funny because I got a letter in the mail one day here at the shop. It was from a little girl in Salinas, California.
Okay.
Her name, oh, gee whiz, I forgot what her name was. I thought about it all day today because I could tell it. Tiffany was her name. And Tiffany wrote me a letter. And she said, Roger, we want to know about sprint car racing. Well, now, that's the only thing in the envelope, on the letter. Well, where do you start? It's like drag racing. Where do you start? You know, do you talk about the motors? Do you talk about the tires? Do you talk about the air pressure? What do you talk about? Well, I just told a little girl, look, I said, is there somebody I can talk to? She said, yeah, my teacher's right here. Okay. So I talked to the teacher. I said, tell you what, I'll just get on an airplane. I'll be there Thursday.
Wow.
I'll fly out there and talk to these kids, the fourth grade class. So I flew out there, and they had the school all decorated up. Roger Eckhardt, welcome to Ride. They had the local TV people showed up.
Wow.
Well, anyway, so uh, the kids were a blessing. Tiffany she was the smallest kid in the whole class. So thank goodness I went out there. She was the runt. But anyway, one little kid, you guys got any questions? And there was one child that stood up. She was in the fourth grade, and her question was, and this shocked, I just had to sit down. After I heard the question, that was it. I had to sit down and regroup. And she looked at me and she said, Roger, and if it happens that you are to die while you're racing the race, while you're racing the car, how have you provided for your family?
Wow. Can you imagine?
Fourth grade. Fourth grade. You don't think about that.
Right.
You know, and this is just like really, and I've never, and this has been 30 years ago, 40 years ago, this little girl, I went out to Salinas, California for that. But yeah, it's funny. You talk about funny things happening on the road. Oh man. There's some that I won't tell because it's very embarrassing.
Okay.
but I will tell you one about Lee, the guy that helps me on my car. He found an old Chevrolet pickup truck out in Wyoming, I believe, or it might be Montana. I don't know, but it was like $6,800. It's about a $10,000 vehicle back here in our area.
Right.
And he paid $6,800 for it. The guy put new fuel pump on it, new wires, HEI ignition, everything. Well, Lee calls. He says, "I'm fixing to head across country." I said, "Lee, put a filter going from the carburetor or from the fuel pump to the carburetor, and buy you an extra one. Get you set up jumper cables, screwdrivers, sockets, all that kind of stuff you're going to need." He said, "Okay, no problem." So he calls me about 2:00 in the morning. He says, "Hey, what's up? What's up, Lee?" He says, "Man, this thing's vapor locking." I said, "Man, I don't know. The only thing I knew is find some tinfoil, wrap tinfoil around the fuel line that's going up, across where the exhaust is, and wrap, make it crinkly, and then put it on the fuel line and do the same thing with the fuel filter." Well, he had a glove, so he wrapped the fuel filter with a glove and zip tied it on the way he went. Well, it was about 8:00 the next day. He calls me and he says, "The fuel pump blew up."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he said, "The stock fuel pump, it just came apart." I said, "You're kidding me." Well, this is 8:00. There's no O'Reilly's or AutoZone or Napa or none of this stuff open. So he had to spend the night. Well, he went ahead and replaced the fuel pump the next morning and was back on the road and drove it another 1,800 miles without any problem at all. So we figured that this whole problem started out in Wyoming, and he buried it. He babied it all the way across to get it to where it needed to be. Wow. It was funny though, but got a beautiful car though. It's a beautiful pickup truck. It really, really is. But I've had, I used to work for Spanky McFarland. You know who he is?
No, but I love the name. He's got to be a racer because it sounds like a perfect racer name.
No, he's not. And you know who he is. Spanky McFarland is the Little Rascals. He's Spanky in the Little Rascals.
Okay, gotcha. No kidding. Wow.
Well, I worked for Spanky when I first got out of the Army. And Spanky had a printing shop, Tandy Quick Print in Smithfield, Texas. And we would print business cards. That was our main deal, and business invoices and stuff like that. Well, we print a lot of business cards for the sheriff and police departments and fire departments and lawyers and criminal lawyers and things like that. Well, when you print a business card, you have to fold it in half to make sure all the lines, everything squares up. Well, while I'm figuring out what I'm going, squaring it up, getting ready to run 1,000 of them. Attorney at law, Roger Eckhardt. Let's go. And I made attorney at law, and I made just different cards. I was a doctor, and I made cards for doctor, and I carried him in my truck. Well, we're down there at Memphis, Tennessee for the big NHRA race, motorcycle race. And back in them days, you carried your motorcycle in the trailer. I mean, in the back of your van. You had a little Chevrolet, big long ton one, van. And I had a 102-inch whip antenna on top of that van for CB.
Wow.
Well, I pulled into this service station, and and when I did, my whip antenna took all the fluorescent lights out of the ceiling.
Oh,
of the fluorescents, I took every one of them out. Well, of course, the guy comes running out screaming, hollering, they're going to arrest me and throw me in jail and all this stuff, And so he calls the police. The police shows up. You got any ID on you? I sure do. Here's one here, attorney at criminal law. And I handed him one of my business cards for attorney at criminal law. He looks at that, figure out what the deal is. And he says, what happened here? I said, well, if you look, he's got his car parked on the outside where I can't pull through and without hit. I have to pull underneath the awning, and to pull underneath the awning, I had to take the lights out, and I need fuel. He said, well, Mr. Eckhart, we appreciate you stopping by. I said, well, I'll come by tomorrow and settle up with the owner of the service station. No problem. So we came back to the service station after the races. We filled up the truck. I gave the money to my little buddy that helps me. I said, hey, go pay the bill. And we have money in the ashtray. So I said, hey, Donald, go pay the bill. So back in the truck and down the road we got down there about 100 miles down the road, and I opened up the ashtray to see how much we had, and we still had the money. I mean, he didn't pay for the gas.
Oh my.
We got $130 worth of gasoline back in the 70s and 70s, and so we pulled over and commandeered a highway patrolman and said, hey, could you take $130 back to that guy? We forgot this, Yeah. Anyway, it was kind of funny because that was a funny. We were surprised at that.
Well, the business card came to the rescue. Well, Roger Eckard, man, having a great time. Can we take a break, go to John, and see what the folks out there have to say on the chat line?
Well, I don't know if I want.
Oh yeah, you want to hear this? This is good. we're here from coast to coast tonight, Roger. Rich Panicaro in New Jersey. Rob McCabe is with us. I don't know where Rob is at, but he's with Draglist.
New York.
And Jack Red is here with us. He says hi. Pete Moriello in Los Angeles says good evening, everybody. And I posted this after listening to you because we're really enjoying this. I said, Roger is cool. And Rob M said, yes, absolutely, John. And Rich Panicaro said amen to that. Y'all mentioned Rich Vogler, and Rich Panicaro said that he was a great driver. And Kay Thurkelson has showed up. She says, good evening, everyone. Miss Kay is here, a little late, but I have arrived. And I posted, I said, I could listen to Roger all day. And Rich Panicaro said, you got that right, JB. And Rob McCabe said, absolutely. Now, let's see, Mark Malinsky.
John, hang on just a minute. I think, Roger, we got you muted. We can't hear you either. There you go. Give us a test 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Roger. Oh gosh, we lost Roger. Seems like we lost Roger's audio. Let's see if we can bring him back on. I'm going to ask him.
Can you hear us?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to send him a note here.
Well, it shows that you're okay. Now it shows that you're muted.
Yeah, but hang on. I'm going to send him a note. Okay, how we doing, sir? Can't hear us either. Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. Can you, shucks. He can't hear me to even figure out what to do. I'm going to go ahead and drop him and we'll bring him back in.
Okay.
Well, let's see. First of all, things. Whoops. Let me try a couple other things.
Yeah, just stay tuned, man. It's good.
Let's see what we can do about stop video, and I'm going to bring him back in. And let's see if he gets should be getting a alert from me telling him to start the video back up. There we go. Whoops, that works, but we can't hear you. Okay, well, let's go ahead and drop. We're going to drop him and we'll bring him back in a moment, guys. Hang on just a moment.
Bill, the video on YouTube is frozen.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
I have it muted to prevent feedback. But what if I went ahead and clicked play? I'll click play.
Well, hang on. We're going to bring him back in. Hopefully he'll join us back in a moment, John.
Okay.
So yeah, we had a thing where Roger was telling great stories one moment, and then he went on mute, and we couldn't hear him, and he couldn't hear us. So we'll see if we can get him back on. What a great character! Wow, lots of good stuff, and he told us a great Don Garlett story as we were coming on the air. So we'll want to hear that again. But let's see what we can do, and if he might just give me a call, and if he does that, we'll get him mic'd up here from the phone.
Okay.
And then we'll bring him on if we can. I hope everybody's having a great day out there. I guess while we're waiting on Roger to see if we can get him back on, I don't know if we have time to do the racer of the week or not, John.
Well, I just posted a note to the chat board and asked them if they could hear us.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for a response. I'm not sure if our volume is coming across over there.
Well, I think we're okay. I hope anyway. I guess we can, the one way I can find out is put us up on the internet.
Okay,
Let's try that.
they can hear us.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Let's see if if we can get Roger back here in a moment. While we're doing that, I might just give you some heads up on some things coming up. Let me go ahead and do the racers that are coming up. And that way we'll get that reported out and let you know who's coming on. And as soon as we can get Roger on, we'll get him back on. But here we go. Hang on. Hey, Roger.
Yeah, I lost the sound for some reason.
Yeah, we lost the sound and we lost we could see it, but we couldn't hear you and you couldn't hear us. So, well, let's do this. We're chatting with you right now. So, John, can you ask the guys and gals out there if they can hear Roger as he's coming through right now?
Okay, they said, okay, it says they can hear you and me. I'm not sure if they can hear Roger. I'll ask them.
Yeah. And Roger, give us a test 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
There we go.
4, 5.
Woohoo. It's just a matter of whether we got you mic'd up well enough here on the phone to get to the microphone. But we could also try coming back in, clicking that Zoom link again, if you wanted to give that a try.
I'm waiting for an answer right now, so.
You still have that, Mr. Roger, what we sent you earlier?
Okay, they say they can hear Roger, but no video. And,
yeah, there is no video. So,
okay.
So we can go on, or if you want, Roger, if you want to try to click that Zoom link we sent you a little bit ago and see if that'll work.
Let's see here if I can pick that up again.
Okay. Yeah, bear with us, folks. Just a moment.
Okay. I want to go to just join for browse, right?
Yep.
All right, there we go. And then it says they want to allow my microphone and camera. There we go.
Yep.
And it said unmute.
Yep.
There we go. We've unmuted it. It's shopping for a video right now.
Okay.
I don't know if you people out there that are listening realize it, but they're trying to teach a guy that is, man, I've still got an iPhone 7, I think, because I don't want to go with a new iPhone, because every time you go with a new phone, it changes everything.
You bet.
Yeah, you're right.
And I still kind of wish to have an old flip phone, but in order to run the chaos deal, well, not really, but it helps if you can get on the internet, get on the Facebook and check. You know, Chris sends us a lot of information on Facebook.
Right.
And that's our way to. It still says it's shop video.
Okay, was when you clicked it before, is that what it told you before you were able to come on live? Do you remember? I mean, it's all pretty new.
Join. Let's see if we can figure out this other way here.
Okay. Well, like I told Roger earlier, he couldn't tune me to or teach me how to tune a Hemi. So there we go. He's in.
I'm back in again.
So let's see if we can hear you. Let's see if we get a little feedback, which would be good.
What are you doing up there? Can you hear me okay?
We can, Roger. Can you go ahead and hang up? We'll see if we can transfer to Zoom. Okay, there we go. So let's give us a try. I'm going to mute you and then unmute you. And let's see how we do. There you go. Give us a 1, 2, 3, Roger. Well, unfortunately, we still can't hear you. Can you hear me? Well, let's go back on the phone. Let's go back to the phone. I'm trying to make phone things and try to we'll get Roger back here on the phone, folks, and you can see him here. We'll save this picture. There he is. Howdy, sir. All right. Well, what we got is, here's what we got. We got a picture of you on the screen, and we got your voice on the phone.
Okay. Is my makeup on okay? Do I look okay on my makeup?
You're a little light on the rouge, but we'll fix that up in post.
Yeah. You can do that on the telephone, I think. Are you on the
Absolutely. Whoops, now we lost your video too. So we'll go ahead and just enjoy having you on the phone.
Okay. That's work.
Let's go back to John. John, anybody else on the chat with a thought for Roger?
Yes, Rob McCabe had a couple of excellent points. He said, I got the chance to meet Roger a couple of weeks ago to gather information for Lee's Draglist entry. And he said, I have to update his Tulsa results once I finish the MG Epping TD results. Mark Malinsky said that he can hear everyone. Mark's in New Jersey. And we're either the people on the chat board are saying they can either hear Roger or see him, but
Good.
not both at the same time. But it's just great to hear you, Roger. Keep going, man.
Oh, I appreciate it. You know, see, now I traveled with Street Outlaws for about 7 years.
Uh-huh.
And we traveled all over the place. And I helped Bodie for a while, and then I started helping Stanley Morton and Kayla.
Okay.
Started helping them, and we traveled all over. I pulled into a service station in New Mexico with Stanley's truck and trailer.
Right.
And it said 13 feet 9 inches. Hey, I got this covered because I'm 12'6". Well, when I pulled out of there, the very back end of the trailer caught their awning and ripped the trim off the awning.
Uh-oh.
Now, how in the world would I gain a whole foot? Well, I don't know, but it started a big fiasco there. Oh man,
right.
I didn't know I hit it. There was a guy filling up gas there, and he chased me down on I-40 and got me pulled over and said, you know, you tore their awning up back there. I'm like, well, I better go back and check it out. So I went back, and sure enough, the awning had gotten part of it didn't hurt the trailer at all.
Right.
But their awning was so rusted that it just, you know, it didn't, it was if I didn't knock it down, the pigeon would probably get it the next 2 or 3 days.
You probably saved it a week.
Oh, yeah, I did. Anyway, so when I got back in the truck would start and run, but it wouldn't go anywhere. It's got an automatic, and it wouldn't go forward or backwards or nothing. Run, but it wouldn't go forward or back. So, man, we started working on it, trying to figure that out. And I called it got to the point, Stanley said, well, just call a roadside guy. So I called this roadside guy, and he had to come from another town, which took him, he said, I'll be there in a few minutes. Well, 5 hours later, he shows up.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And he looks at it and spent about 2.5 hours and says, yeah, I can't figure it out, but you owe me $500.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, and okay, whatever. So I got some money rounded up and paid him the $500. And Stanley calls me back and says, hey, he said, behind the battery is a 30 amp fuse. Mm-hmm. See if that 30 amp fuse is blown. Okay. So sure enough, it's pulling a 20 amp fuse, and 12 hours later, I'm going down the road.
Wow. So, oh my gosh.
$500 fuse, man.
That's good stuff there. I mean, that's a hard lesson learned. Well,
yeah, we went into we were racing in a little old man, I don't know where it was, but this was pretty close to Deliverance area. and we pulled in there, and man, there were people, there were spectators. They had a line going into this. They had one road in and one road out.
Wow.
And we needed ice. So I jumped on the golf cart and left out of there to go get some ice, because we cool all our stuff with ice. And so I'm heading out of there up that one lane road to get ice. And there's a guy walking. I said, hey, I'll give you a ride. He said, where are you going? Go up, sir. Well, I'll ride with you. So he goes up there and he rides up there. And I walk in the Love's and say, hey, I need about 10 bags of ice. And they said, we don't have any ice. There's no ice left. You guys took it all. Well, when I got off, the guy that was riding with me, I walked back out front, and the golf cart's gone.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. Well, I don't know what to do, and I'm standing out front, and I said, man, I walk over to the edge of the Love's, and I hear this, Roger, come here. I look, here's this guy, he's on the golf cart, and he's got the golf cart loaded with ice.
Wow.
I said, where'd you get that? He says, I just stole it from Love's around back where the truckers are. Oh, we can't do that. They'll come get us. So I went back in there and paid for 20 bags of ice, went back up to the racetrack, and man, we sold all 10 bags that I didn't need. Everybody else needed some.
Heck yeah, man, you were the most honest person I think I've ever met. Oh my gosh, that's 3 stories in a row.
Well, you can't, I mean, what goes around comes around,
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just if I stole something, it would never amount to anything.
Right. Well, bless your heart, sir. Tell us, before we were coming on the show, people may have caught the very last tip of it, but tell us about that story when you were out there getting some snacks on the road and you saw someone up in front of you in line.
Oh, we were down in Green Valley in Texas, Smithfield, Texas. Now, I grew up in Smithfield, Texas, and I lived about 10 miles from the drag strip, and we would ride our bicycles to the drag strip.
That's a great track. Wow.
And Mom would pack us a little lunch. My brother and I, we'd ride out there. And back in them days, you could walk around anywhere you wanted to. Well, there was a car, a dragster on the starting line, and I was eating an apple, and I wasn't but probably 20 feet from the back of the car, and he did his burnout. I looked down at my apple, and it was all speckled with rubber. Oh, I couldn't eat that. Anyway, later on, as I came back from the Army, and I bought a drag bike from Nick Morrell, and I took was racing a drag bike. Well, I needed some tires, and so I ended up with a tire deal. Well, so I go to the grocery store to go to the next race, which was in Memphis, and I'm standing in line there, and I buy that cereal that's in the bag. And back then we didn't have Ziplocs; we used clothespins. So, tore the bag open, and I get Sugar Smacks. Boy, they're great. If you're going down the road and you're trying to stay awake, get you some Sugar Smacks, because you're reaching in there and you're throwing them in your mouth, and you're chewing, and it, keeps you awake.
Pretty tasty. Yeah.
Yeah. And you get you some milk, and you can, kind of mouthful of Cheerios or whatever cereal, and a swig of milk, and you don't have to have a spoon or a bowl. Well, I'm standing there in line to buy my cereal, and there's a guy standing next to me. I'm not looking around paying attention. This guy's got the same thing I got. He looks over at me and he goes, "Oh, is that all you're going to get?" I said, "That's all I need to stay awake." He said, I do the very same thing. I eat the Sugar Smacks to stay awake. And I know this guy from somewhere. I'm trying to think where I know him from. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's Big Daddy, And I followed him to Memphis that weekend.
All right, man. That should have turned into a sponsorship at some point.
Well, he did help me with tires. He gave me his tire rep later on as I continued to race the motorcycles.
So cool. Yeah, Don's awesome. Met him several times over the years, as we all have. Hopefully, if we're lucky, we have at some point. And some just
John is people.
Mm-hmm.
He came and I'll tell you a story about John Force. I was helping Dom Lagana and Bobby Lagana when we went to Dom Lagana won the IHRA championship. So we went to Las Vegas.
Okay.
And we went to the final round with an IHRA car.
Right.
Man, I think we went up against the Sarge.
Yeah.
And he beat us there. Well, we're going on across to we went on over to Pomona, and I helped him there in Pomona, and I was helping him and Scotty Palmer. Scotty didn't have a CDL, so he wanted me to drive his truck and trailer. So we went out. Anyway, we're out there, and John had just won his 29th time or whatever. It's been some years back.
Right.
And I went over to get a ball cap, one of his white ball caps, signed for a kid here in the hospital in Tulsa, so I could take it up to it. So anyway, everybody was all around him, and I had my team shirt on, so I kind of walked over and raised the they got a rope around, and
sure.
I raised the rope up, walked over there, and he's got his back to me, and I stuck the hat down there, and the Sharpie said, "John, can you?" Oh yeah, sure. No problem. I can do it for you, Roger. And he signed it, and I said, the guy's name is, the guy's name is Mac. And he's, yeah, sure. So he signed it, congrats, good luck, Mac, and get well soon. And away I went. Well, I was walking out past the crowd. I mean, the crowd was, 8 people deep.
Sure.
And there was a little girl back there in a wheelchair. I said, well, yeah, I want to get John's autograph. You do? I said, yeah. I said, well, rules really sometimes don't apply to the general public.
Yeah.
So I said, sweetheart, this is what I want you to do. I'm going to push you forward, and you tap on the people as they get close to you. You tap, excuse me. So this is what we do. I mean, we all the way through that crowd. Excuse me. We got up to where the rope is. She raised the rope up and says, yeah, let's go. Right underneath there it went. Well, John was talking to Austin Coyle, and Austin Coyle was still tuning the car at that time.
Right.
And she walked up, I pushed her right up. She tapped old John right on the butt. She said, excuse me, I need your autograph. John turned around, looked at me, and then looked down, saw the girl, got down on his knees. She signed the book,
And Ashley went walking by. I think it was Ashley. And he said, hey, take care of this little girl. And that little girl walked off with leather jackets and ball caps and koozies. And I mean, there was no way. It was so funny. We just got the biggest kick out of it. But yeah, John is a true fan-oriented person.
He's a great guy. First time I ever met him, he bought me a beer and he didn't know it. You know? I was in some bar at Indy where he was over there, you know, telling a story to a big old group, and I ordered a beer and I went to pay for it. And no, it's on them. I said, no, hang on, I'm not with them officially. And the guy was one of his crew. Come on, you're good. And so, yeah. Thank you, John. Probably about that era. So amazing. So you've seen a million things. Let's check in with the chat guys again and see what they've come up with for questions or comments. John, anybody out there?
All right.
Yes. Let me see. Getting caught up here. Kay Thurkelson said Roger is awesome. I hope to meet him one day. And Rob McCabe.
Real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go for it.
You people that are listening out there on this deal, please come to me and say, hey, man, we listened to you on that podcast, because this is the first podcast I've ever done. I'm serious, man. You guys we love to have kids sit in the car, adults sit in the car. We don't care.
Awesome.
Go back to talking to the people. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Well, here's how this works: is someone will make a comment and then you respond to it, and then John will get the next one. So Miss Kay, I'm surprised you guys hadn't met, but she's a doll. You're gonna love her. She just takes good care of us out there on the road.
Yeah, not in person, but she is a very charming, intelligent, and articulate lady, and we love her.
She's the one that called me and set up this whole deal. And I think we talked on the phone for about 2 hours. We talked. I don't know where she's at, but I think we hung up the phone at about 12 o'clock midnight, Tulsa time.
Yeah. You were living on Tulsa time, and she's in Salt Lake City. So she... and her families have a big, long history there at the Salt Lake area for motorsports and high performance. And she's out there this weekend catching interviews for us and sharing them on Instagram. So she stays busy.
You know, we used to have a mall here in town, and the promoter of the racetrack asked us, said, hey, could you take your car out to the mall?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had about a week time to get the car ready to go. We take it out there and put it on display, and I stay with the car and we talk to the people and pass out, free tickets to get into the racetrack.
Right.
And we didn't have the car completely finished. We had basically a frame and wheels, and the body was over this was back before wraps were even invented.
Right.
So it was over at the painter. He was painting it and lettering it and all that stuff. So I showed up basically with a car, wheels, and a seat, and that was it. And so the mall opened up on Monday, and Monday night, the painter delivered the car. So Tuesday, we put the body on the car. And then Wednesday, the guy showed up with a motor, and we put the motor in the car.
Wow.
The people were there was people that were just coming to the mall to watch us put this thing together. Well, we put the car all together in the mall, had it all completely ready to go by Wednesday. And my wife, she says, that was so we decided to take it apart that night and put it all back together on Thursday. And we did that. We did that a couple of times, and people would sit in the car. Oh, don't touch anything, son. I tell the parents, hey, we'd rather them kids get in there and touch something, because if they break it, we got time to fix it.
Right.
Because I got a gorilla for a driver, and I mean you got to be careful with him. You got to be a little tender.
Yeah, a little Joey breaks it, then you're in trouble.
Oh man. The battery had us there for the longest time.
So great.
But
wow.
My car originally came from Scott, I want to say Goldtree. I can't think what his name is. Radar drives for him, and it's one of Scott's old cars.
Lechtenberg, yeah. Roger Roger
Yep.
Lechtenberg, right?
Uh-huh. And he likes my barbecue sauce. I make barbecue sauce.
Nice. Well, you know what? That's you and John Hale, man. We got the whole thing. And we had Dan Pastorini on. What did Dan make? Dan had some food thing. I think it may have been barbecue sauce as well, man. Our racers are.
They advertises to Funny Car Chaos.
Yeah, that's John Hale's deal. So I got a couple jars of that, although I'm burning through it pretty good. He was very kind. But that's fantastic. Well, let's John, who else we got out there to kick off another story? That's all we're asking. And so I want my guests on the chat line to start it up and then my guest to bat it out of the park. And I'm just going to kick back and enjoy it all myself.
Well, everybody's complimenting Roger. You're giving us a fantastic interview, man. It's just fun listening to you. Rob M said, even my conversations with him for the 45 minutes or so when I was getting info on his funny car, and he was telling me some of these stories tonight. And there's another post here. Let me check. Sometimes I copy and paste them, and sometimes I read them straight off the message board.
I went down to my car. The body that I'm running now came from Mitch King.
Okay.
Mitch lives way down south in Texas.
Galveston, isn't he down that way?
Man, I don't know, but I know I drive for hours to get there. And we went down to pick up this body, and old Mitch has got a pocket full of. He got a pistol in his pocket. Little old snake charmer.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about this, and we're talking, and about that time, boy, he pulled that pistol out and kapow! And my back was turned to him. Well, he nailed no copperhead right there. It was within 15 feet of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he makes that candy, doesn't he? Doesn't Mitch have a confectionery down there? He probably has all kinds of little rodents coming for the sweets, and he probably has the snakes coming for the rodents.
Yeah, they do. They sure do.
Wow. John, what do we got, sir? You had another comment there, you thought?
Yeah, Roger, you were talking about a road story, and Rob McCabe said sugar snacks with the clown on the box. And
wasn't that the little frog, wasn't it? Or am I thinking like sugar smacks was a frog, sugar crisp was the cool little jazz bear, can't get enough.
The bear was sugar smacks, I believe.
Gotcha. Can't get enough of them sugar smacks.
Yeah,
get up them sugar smack. Can't get up them sugar smack. Yep. Oh man, yeah.
Go for it, John. What do you got? Or one more. I think John had something in the middle of his mind and coming out. What do you have, sir?
Yeah, Rob also said he met Don at Englishtown in 2011 when he was running Stock Eliminator. And Kay said thank you for the kind words from us. And of course, Kay, we appreciate you, and Rob as well, and everybody on the chat board. Y'all are great people. And we look forward to seeing you every week here. Rob said he said right now he's at Lebanon Valley Dragway, New York, and Island Dragway, New Jersey. One day I'll start expanding back out again more in the Northeast.
Sounds good. Well, my buddy Rob McCabe does, man, he's saving us. He's pulling all the good drag racers out there. But Roger, so you out there on the chaos circuit, do you run the funny car and the altered? Do you kind of swap the bodies? How does the team work?
Yeah, the bodies swap out pretty easily. But right now we're concentrating on funny car chaos because first of all, it's got a good purse.
Mm-hmm.
The rules are just safety is the only rule we have.
Right.
And that's it. It's you run nitro, you can run alcohol, you can run a blown car on nitrous.
Right.
I think there's a couple turbocharged cars out there. It's a mix of everything.
I love
there's
it.
There's not any one car dominating it either.
Right.
What was fast this weekend will be slow next weekend. And Chris could not put this show on without the racers.
Mm-hmm.
And the racers can't put a show on without the crowd and the racetrack. I tried to explain to a guy here that owns the Tulsa racetrack or leases the Tulsa racetrack. I said, we were talking one day. I said, yeah, I got $120,000 invested in this racetrack. And he looked at me kind of funny. What do you mean? I says, well, your racetrack isn't any good without my car.
Yeah.
And my car ain't any good without the racetrack. So we're partners in business, whether you realize it or not.
That's true.
And really, if the people will come out and support this, man, this is great. This podcast is it's a way for the people to hear what's going on, and we can share with them a little bit about us.
Mm-hmm.
So when they walk up to the pits and say, hey, Roger, I heard you I know exactly,
That's awesome. Well, I hope that happens. Come on, guys, get out there. That's fantastic. I love Funny Car Chaos. And we were chatting a little bit early on in the show about the NHRA fields, and, pure Top Fuel, pure funny cars is amazing, of course. But, I always kind of like those old AHRA races they had in Spokane about once a year. You can't really call it the World Championships because they have one race in August, but anything would show up there. I mean, you'd have your Top Fuel field, and then some guy might bring an A-fuel dragster, some guy might bring a nostalgia front engine dragster, some guy may show up a fuel altered. And like Dave Benjamin, Nasty Benjamin, used to run his fuel altered in Top Fuel up in Spokane. And I think that would be awesome for the fans for drag racing. And then the funny cars could be the very same way they sort of do the Funny Car Chaos, have the nostalgia nitro guys come out. And if they wanted to give it a shot, or maybe somebody wanted to come out and do it on alcohol, what the heck? You may not make the field, but but certainly if it's a light field, you're going to get in, and it's going to just thrill the fans. And I think that would be really cool to see. I don't think the pro racers would probably appreciate it. I'm just tossing it out there because they've got, hundreds of thousands and millions in these cars with sponsors to answer to, but it sure would be fun for the fans to see, I think.
Yeah. We had a race here in Tulsa that you had to drive your car to the racetrack.
Yeah.
And at first it started out as it had to be a door.
That's how Pro Street used to be, huh?
Beg your pardon?
That's how Pro Street used to be, right? You had to drive it there and then run it.
Yeah. Well, they had a race here, and it had to have a door. Well, Dave Bridgewater's a heck of a sheet metal man, and he put a door on my dragster. And I mean, it was an operating door. It's like, you see them, they'll open a little door on top of the body and do something and close the door. That's the way this door worked on the side of the car. Well, I showed up and I said, well, this really isn't what we're wanting. I said, well, you guys need to make a better rule. I just did it for the fun of it.
Yeah, right.
Just to have fun. So the next year, the rule said you have to drive it to the racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, no problem. So the shift change here in Tulsa is at 7:00. And the race doesn't start till 8:00.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I called the 918 motorcycle bunch. And I said, hey, I'm going to drive the dragster from the house, which is 4.5 miles, to the racetrack. Well, we'll shadow you. We'll make sure you get all the green lights. And that's exactly what they did.
Wow.
I drove the dragster from my house 4.5 miles up the street to the drag strip. And those guys shadowed me all the way up, got all the green lights. Everything went perfect. I used 4.5 gallons in 4.5 miles idling out there.
Wow. I love it. It reminds me of a story we have on Draglist. The story is up on Draglist over, somewhere in the last 25 years. We've published it, and I can't remember who the racer was. But at one point, AHRA used to have to run their Top Fuel where they had twin engine cars run one day and rear engine cars run the next day. And at the end of the day, the two winners of those respective eliminators would run off for the overall title. Well, there used to be a half a dozen, dual engine cars, and there was a ton, had to go fight through 35, 40. single engine cars to get to the final. So one of the racers was smart. He put a little electric motor in front of his fuel motor and ran it that way, just like you with the door. He had two motors on it. Of course, the next year there was a very express rule says it must be a nitro motor. But yeah, I guess old the promoter or Jim Tice probably he was not a happy camper. But
no, and Bob Westfall, when I ran sprint cars, Bob Westfall, he worked on that shadowed area.
Mm-hmm.
It said it had to be an OEM crank.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so he found an OEM crank, but it was a lot lighter than the standard crank.
Right.
And I don't know what it was for, but he put it in. They finally they disqualified the guy here in Tulsa for running that OEM crank, and they weren't hearing of it, But it was a legal crank, and they didn't let him. They didn't let him run it, which was sad.
Showed up at the part number, huh?
And it had a part. Yes, it had a part number on it. I mean, I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, my next topic was, do you have any shout outs for any sponsors or other folks that helped you out? I know you mentioned your two crew guys up at the beginning of the program.
Yes. Ameriflex here in Tulsa, which builds hydraulic hoses and big vacuum lines for the concrete trucks that they carry bulk dry concrete in. Mm-hmm. Ameriflex is open, from 7 or 6 in the morning till 5 at night. And then if you've got a problem, you can call him and he'll come down there and open it up.
Wow.
Well, Corbin is the owner of the company, and he had this big Christmas party last year. Big. I mean, all the employees, family, kids, everybody that works for him is welcome to come.
Wow.
Well, Logan says, "Hey, Roger, why don't you come? You're part of the family." I said, "Okay, I will." So on the way out there to his place, I went by their trash can, their dumpster, and retrieved 2 lines out of their dumpster that were broken. And I come dragging them things into that party. I said, "Man," I said, "there's a guy down there and he needs to get these fixed. Can you do it? Can you help him out?" And Corbin looks at me and goes, "Well, yeah, we can do it." So he yells at one of the guys, say, "Hey, George, go down there and take care of this and get it taken care of." And I said, No, we're just yanking your chain, Corbin." But and then there's another guy that helps me. Randy does, and he owns RPM Data Logger.
Okay.
And the thing about RPM Data Logger is you can call that guy after hours and he will answer the phone.
Wow.
And help you with your problem. The other data loggers will not do that at all. And as you know, I'm not the computer guy, and he has taught me how to work that data logger so I can get stuff off of it. I was missing a part today, and I called him and said, "Hey, I'll run down there and pick it up." He says, "No, I'll put it in the mail. You have it first thing in the morning."
Wow.
And that's the way he runs his business. And he's the one that invented it and built it and put it on the market.
I love it.
It's not, it's his all by himself. Randy's the one that takes care of the whole thing.
That's fantastic. Well, I hope he's real successful with that. Both those guys, because that sounds like some businessmen after my own heart.
And then CMC, which is a company out of Springfield, Missouri, and they build 7 Brew coffee shops.
Okay. And
what it is they build this thing inside of a large building. It's a big building, and it'll start out as a red iron frame.
Right.
Or they'll start out with the material, start building this whole thing, and it goes down a little assembly line, and they produce 1 of those a day.
Wow.
And now the way that it works is I've done some installs for him, and when it comes out as all one unit. It's got the refrigerators in it. It's got the toilet, the shower, the sinks, everything that you see inside that Seven Brew Coffee Shop is made there in Springfield, Missouri, and then they truck it out of there to Phoenix, Arizona, or wherever it's going to go.
Just plug it in, huh? So what is it? You have to have the site prepped for all the water and electricity and everything, and just put it on top?
Everything that the foundation and all of the stuff is made. I mean, when we'll send the foundation stuff to them so that the contractor in that area knows. And there'll be PEC lines, there'll be the PEC line, the water line going to it. There'll be the sewer line going to it. There'll be the electrical all hooked up. And when we set it on the foundation, 6 hours later, they could be serving coffee.
That's amazing.
And I mean, it's, the PEC line moving left and right, the electricity moving left and right. But yeah, our hardest problem, the biggest problem that they have is getting the city to come out and give the rubber stamp on it. Yes, you can do it. It's right. It's legal, the permit and all that.
Well, you got to find someone to work there too. So they have to coordinate the hiring while they're kind of getting the thing built, I guess, as well. Pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, they hire a lot of the baristas is what they call them. They've got a school that they go to, and I think it lasts like 2 or 3 weeks. Let's see here. Man, a butterfly went by and I lost my concentration.
I got you. Squirrel.
Yep. That was Stanley Morton's favorite thing. He'd say, okay, when the car comes in, we need to change that rear end. We need to pull the transmission, and I want to pull the tires off of it. So he'd give me a list. So I'd start on it, and I get all the way done with it, and I might forget to pull the tires. And he said, butterfly, and I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
That was his favorite thing. We had a lot of fun. That Stanley Morton and Tawana, they would get there a day early before Kayla, and they would, if they got there, I would pick them up at the airport, and if they went out to eat, I was part of the family. Went to movies, and I mean, they took care of me as though I was family.
I love it.
And I worked for one guy, and he would go to town and get a steak dinner and bring me back a cheeseburger. Like, really?
Yeah.
And now, Bodie was more. He'd feed you. That man there would feed you, and so did Stanley and Tawana and all them. Man, they took good care of me.
Good folks for sure.
Yes, yeah, they are.
Well, Stanley, where can folks find you on the internet if they want to reach out to find out what do you maintain a website or have someone keep a website up or somewhere on Facebook or something?
You can find me on Facebook under Roger Eckhardt, and but I'm not. I don't have a website or any of that stuff. The people that help me with barbecue sauce, they're wanting me to put a website up so that they can sell the barbecue sauce to the public. And I give away more jars than I sell. I enjoy giving it away.
Well, give them a little shout out here. What's the brand name, and tell us why you love it.
It's real simple. It's my barbecue sauce.
Okay.
From the garage of Roger Eckard.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see if I can pull up the ingredients real quick here while I'm talking to you. Let's see here. Here we go. Let's see here. Let me find the ingredients here because I've got it written down. I don't really share it with a whole lot of people.
We have about 300,000 people on our Facebook page. I don't know if they're all coming. They're not all here tonight, but this is going to be recorded for history. So keep in mind, you might be giving away the keys to the castle there.
Well, I don't want to give the keys to the castle away, but
or someone has to do the hard work of actually making it. Not how many people want to work hard anymore.
Yeah, how much more time we got?
Well, we're about over a bit, but we're having so much fun. I think we're going to extend this a half hour.
On there a minute now. I'm going to walk over here to the garage.
Okay.
Walk over my garage. See, I used to make this in a cement mixer.
I love it.
Because, well, I mean, it was I took an old Army stove, which is, and I made it in a cement mix because you got to warm it up,
Of course.
So, and the cement mixer is about as much as I wanted. Okay. These are, I don't share these ingredients with everybody, but I'll just, with you guys, the special ingredients are asphalt chips from Route 66.
Okay.
Aluminum and cast iron shavings.
Okay.
Corn, wine, and oil. And it's WOAMM is wages of a master mason. That's what they paid masons back in biblical days.
Yeah.
It's got grass clippings from OU Stadium.
Okay.
Sawdust from the circus tent floor. It's got 70-weight motor oil, power steering fluid, and the colors latex paint.
Nice.
Now the secret is I use leaded latex paint.
Yeah.
I don't use that foo-foo latex paint. Now, the nutritional facts are: it should be understood by all who chooses to use my barbecue sauce. There are no nutritional facts listed below because nothing could be deemed factual by any court in this or any other land on the planet. My barbecue sauce has been tested by thousands who have used it. Have used it on everything imaginable and survived. Their positive response keeps me making this stuff.
I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Well, it's a part of a balanced breakfast. I think that's what.
Yes, it is. Yep. Yeah.
Well, oh my gosh, it's been so much fun hanging out with you. Let's go one more time to John. Any final thoughts from you, John, or from the team out there?
Well, we're basically caught up on everything, but everybody has just thoroughly enjoyed this evening. And Roger, you just gave us one of the best interviews we've ever had. I told them I could listen to you all day, but I don't have all day. But man, it was just great having you with us, and I want to wish you the best of luck coming up in your next event.
Yeah, we'll be in Cordova this weekend, Friday and Saturday. I believe the track opens up at 5 o'clock on Friday, and it probably opens up at around 9 o'clock Saturday. Our first round eliminations will be Saturday, and they will probably be around 1 o'clock.
Okay, awesome. Great.
What a great racetrack and a great racer going there. Man, thank you so much, Roger. It's been amazing to meet you. And what great stories. That's what this sport's all about. The characters and the stories.
That's right.
I mean, here's my personal opinion on racing. And I want to let the people know this because, there's kids in them grandstands that are watching us, and they watch what we do. And if you don't think that they're soaking this up, I was 25 years old when I met Big Daddy, and I'm 77 now, and I still remember the stories that he told back in them days.
Right.
And he was a hero. Perdone and man, Mongoose and Larry Reed. I rode my bicycle to watch Larry Reed race.
That Rolling Stone, baby. What a great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was, man, there was, anyway. But yeah, it's, racing is, I mean, these kids are watching us. So watch what you do.
Right.
They don't have any real honest to goodness heroes that they could walk up and touch, and we are it.
Right.
So if a little kid comes up to you, even though you just wadded your car up or your wife left you, that little kid doesn't care about that. That kid wants to see a hero.
Right.
So yeah. So man, I've enjoyed it. I've had a lot of fun. I was scared to death for the last 2 days. I've never done anything like this before. A podcast. Didn't even. In fact, I was worried about getting in. You know.
Well, we got her done.
Well,
Hopefully you'll do it again next year.
yeah.
Yeah, Roger, from what I can tell, this won't be your last because you're a natural. Super fun to talk with you tonight, and I wish you all the best in Cordova and the rest of the year. And please stay in touch. We'll have Miss Kate check in with you a little bit later on. I'm sure folks would love to have you come back on. I certainly would. And
about to wear, she was wearing my phone out while we were trying to talk.
Yeah, she's persistent. Thank goodness. I mean, gets it done.
I'm gonna run up to Awful Waffle and get me a patty melt, and I'm gonna get me a bacon core cheese scattered smothered covered on one.
Oh, baby.
Oh,
yeah. Enjoy that, sir. You deserve it. You can tell everybody you're a radio star now.
I just want to thank everybody that called in and was part of the show today. I appreciate it. And if you get a chance to go, please come and see us at the racetrack.
Will do.
I'll always have a cold water if you get, always got something, cold water there for you to drink. But yeah, if you show up and you're thirsty, I got some water. Don't worry about it. We got you covered.
Awesome. Roger Eckhardt, ladies and gentlemen, racing the way racing ought to be. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll catch you down the road.
All right. Y'all take care, and thank you very much for allowing me to share a little bit of my life to you guys.
It was fantastic. Thank you, sir. Good night. Roger Eckhardt, everyone.
Night, night.
Bye-bye. All right. Oh my God, was that amazing or what? Jeez, oh man, that was fantastic.
Yes, it was.
There's gonna be hard to top that, John, but let's try it anyway. Let's go to John Bauckham for this week's Racer of the Week. And
I'll just say my thing, man. My pick for Racer of the Week is Rory Campbell from Portland, Indiana. Rory's 1953 Henry J. Gasser, the Hitchhiker, runs as good as it looks, and I'm proud to feature him in his hot rod tonight. The beautiful gold Hitchhiker was a featured vehicle at the 2024 PRI show. It occupied one of the prime spots near the main entrance. Gasser Wars magazine admired this car, and Rory admired the magazine. They planned a feature article with the Hitchhiker on the cover, and it's featured in issue number 156. It's a great article. Rory grew up in a household where his dad always had some kind of old car in the garage. As a kid, he had a couple of Henry J. Gasser models. He hoped to have the real car one day, and over the years, Rory has built hot rods, street rods, and even off-road vehicles. He found this car in a Facebook ad in 2020. The car was in pieces, with bracing holding it together because it was in such rough shape. And Rory was excited because he could visualize the completed car. Most people looked at it and asked him if he had fallen and bumped his head, but he could see the final version, which is a most outstanding hot rod. The custom frame was built by Tim Irwin in Portland, Indiana. It features 2x3 mandrel bent frame rails with chassis engineering ladder bars and a 14-point chrome moly roll cage. The chassis is NHRA certified to 850. The front end uses F1 truck spindles on a custom-made Tim Irwin straight axle. The shocks are by AFCO, Big Gun Racing shocks, and stopping power is provided by Wildwood brakes. The wheels are Anson slots, sized 15C 3.5 in the front and 15 by 10 in the rear. I typed a C and I should have put an X there. Sorry about that. Rory's big block Chevy engine with 2 Holly Dominators had an issue this weekend, and he's been thrashing to get it ready to compete at this upcoming weekend's event at Bowling Green. He sent an update today that it's almost ready to go, and I'm sure it will be. When Facebook disabled my account last week, I sadly lost the complete story and technical analysis of this car. and I apologize on behalf of Facebook for kicking me out. Rory, this is one of the finest hot rods out there, and I am looking forward to seeing you succeed with it. We wish you good luck, safe racing, and the best of times in the future. Now, some of y'all probably seen my Facebook page was disabled last week, and although I have filed an appeal, it hasn't been restored. I went to a Facebook users group and found that I'm just one of thousands of people who have had the same thing happen. It is doubtful that Facebook will respond to my appeal and restore my page. I was a Facebook member for 16 years. I had over 1,500 friends, and I posted hundreds of photos, graphics, and texts, none of which violated any of Facebook's community standards. One or two might have come close, but I didn't post offensive stuff, so I didn't know what the deal was when they shut my page down, and they never did tell me. Anyway, I have no hard feelings about what they did, but I do believe that they should pay attention to what their algorithms are doing. Other than that, it was a wonderful party. I now have an Instagram page. I'm learning how to use it, and today I posted 2 graphics. I'm sure as I make progress in this new format, my profile will improve there. I welcome everybody to check it out. The URL to my page is one word, all lowercase letters, JOHNRBOCKELMAN on Instagram. Thank you. Sly Stone, you were great. Your music in the 60s and early 70s was beautiful. It united us. May you find peace at last. Everybody stay safe and well. You are the most important part of this show, and we love you all. It's a great way to spend an hour together on a Monday night. And we'll see y'all next time. God bless America. Back to you, Bill.
Thank you, John. Oh my gosh. Well, we're gonna get you. We're gonna see if we can get you back up on Facebook. Let's probably set up another in the interim. Maybe set up another account. But we got to get you up here where you can do all of our stuff.
I tried to do that, and as soon as it saw who I was, it shut me off.
Wow. Well, we're sending some notes, and we'll see what we can get done because that's
Yeah, I'll
great.
see if I can get around that and come in the back door.
Let's do it. Well, Instagram's cool. So we got a new. I know Miss K is very active out there, as are many of our other, like Crafty Kate and many of other friends. So let's see if we can get that going on. And I do a little tiny bit, but only what Facebook forwards, and so maybe we'll start a whole nother thing. Speaking of Miss K, let's talk about upcoming guests, folks. Next Monday night, Chris King, the NHRA Funny Car driver, is going to be joining us. Looking forward to talking to Chris. Fresh blood in the class. Coming up on the 16th, Mr. Chris King. On the 23rd, speaking of top-notch funny car drivers, Alexis DeJoria, who was actually #1 qualifier the first day of Bristol. Congrats to her. Well, someone slipped in there and took that away and knocked her down to #2. And then she had a great race. But Alexis DeJoria coming up on the 23rd of June. Excited about that. On the 30th, Gage Herrera, the NHRA reigning world champion motorcycle rider, is going to be joining us, rescheduled from an earlier show. So looking forward to that. On into July the 7th, speaking of Pro Stock Motorcycle, Chris Bostic, the NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle racer, will be joining us. On the 14th, Ida Zetterstrom joins us, European Top Fuel champ and NHRA contender. She is all over the place on social media and on TV. Really looking forward to checking in with Ida. And then on the 21st, Miss K got them rescheduled. The Quadra Boys will be joining us. All 3 NHRA Pro Stock drivers, the brothers. And maybe we can even get Pops Fernando to join us on that night. So July 21st, the Quadra Boys coming at us. So a solid, the next 6 shows locked in and loaded. Thanks to Miss Kay Turkelson for taking such good care of us, and really looking forward to talking with our guests. Let's move on to those we lost. I had a large week last week. This week, just a couple of names, thank goodness. But on the 3rd, we lost Dave Ernie. Dave raced an E-Stock Camaro, And we want to say farewell to Dave and condolences to his family. And then on the 7th of June, we lost John Heck, also who raced an E-stock Camaro. John was known as Hippie Herb, as he raced the great looking car called Purple Haze. And so Dave, Ernie, John Heck, farewell, gentlemen. Stock Eliminator guys out there still running like the good old days, running against those indexes and doing an awesome job and just bringing that camaraderie every single week. So farewell to these racers and condolences, of course, to their friends and family. So that wraps a really special, extra special long show tonight as oh my gosh, Rodger Eckhardt was just amazing. So, John, any final thoughts from you, sir, before we do our wrap?
Well, I know that the show ran over in length, but to me, it just flew by in about 5 minutes, man. It was so great listening to Roger. He's got the best stories, the best experience, and the best expertise in what he does. And man, he could tell me a story. I could listen to him all day. He was fantastic.
He was great. We had him on camera for a little while, but we were in the car. And by the way, he didn't get a chance to tell this story. So he was in his car tonight because he couldn't stand outside because he's got a gigantic mosquito infestation there in Tulsa. They've had quite a lot of rain. He says these things are like, dive bombers, about the size of small sparrows. And so he was holed up in his car with the AC on, but it made it happen. John?
Yes, Rob McCabe just said next weekend he will start several weeks of going to Lebanon Valley Dragway. He said this Sunday, next Sunday, it'll be Top Dragster and Top Sportsman. And then he plans on going to the Night of Fire on June 27th, even with work at 6 a.m. Saturday.
Woo.
And then the Lucas Oil Drag Racing Series Regional on July the 4th. And he also said there's 2 Top Dragster and Top Sportsman races after that in July. And Rob's covering it, man. He's
McCabe's
great.
been working out, and
Yes, sir.
I give him a little shout out every week, which I was about to do, but I just throw him at the front of the list here because he is just rewriting the drag list. He's right there like our buddy Danny, and bless him in heaven. He was amazing, and it takes. And Brett Kepner said this to Rob McCabe online a couple of weeks ago. He says, buckle up, man. You're in rare company here.
Yes,
and
sir.
he's given us everything and more. Just unbelievable work. And I come in and there's like 30 new Top Dragster and Top Sportsman cars. And I'm like, holy crap. And it's the funny thing, we do track those racers because they're basically running the times the Top Fuel cars used to run. And way faster than pro stock and pro mod cars ran, at some point. So it's really appreciate having Rob aboard to take care of all the sportsman racers, plus all the NHRA guys. He keeps that all up to speed as well. So Rob McCabe making it happen. Thank you, sir. And so let's do our wrap. Thank you, John. We want to thank Roger Eckhardt, who, by the way, Roger jumped into the show because we were supposed to have was it the Quadra Boys, I think, and they weren't able to make it because they were still traveling from the Bristol race. And I think Fernandez said they'll be in Mexico in their hometown about midnight tonight. So, but thanks so much for Roger for jumping in, and wow, what a surprise and what a pleasure, for a last minute, fill in who came in and just took great care of us. But one of the most entertaining shows we've had in some time. Of course, my brother John Bachman there, sporting the beautiful Draglist.com Super Crew shirt in black, maybe my favorite version of those. Kay Turkelson, who's amazing. Kay was out, speaking of Instagram, if you don't follow Kay on Instagram, she was out at one of the big events, the Big Daddy Roth event this last week, sending like periodic lives, as she was doing that. And I was in the car. I think I inadvertently joined one of them for a moment. I may have even spoken online, but I didn't intend to. I was riding in a car at the time, but she's amazing. Thanks to Rob McCabe, who we just talked about, who's amazing. Mel Bashore, who also keeps all the great 50 stuff coming our way. Ron Toombs, who covers everything, and he makes several edits every single week. And John Mernon II, who has gone out to all the photographers who have shared their work with Draglist, and he is starting to drop those photos into all the Draglist entries. Really amazing. And of course, thanks as always to the man himself, Danny White. We also want to thank Jeff Gilder of Zeus Digital Marketing, Racers Reunion Radio, and Wingding TV for getting us started out here. And click the like, little thumbs up down there, click the share. And if you go to that little square box right there, I had to figure out what my geometric shape was, but square box that says Draglist, you can subscribe to the channel. So please do that. Check it on draglist.com every day to see what's new. By the way, we have some great photos if you haven't seen them yet from our buddy Ohio Dave Oakes. Put up some amazing photos about a week ago now. If you haven't seen them, more great work there. And so plus lots of other stuff. Of course, we have Bristol. Of course, we had Epping before that. And we do cover all the NHRA races, and we'll start doing those IHRA races when those things come along. And then finally, let me say farewell and get out of here. We'll see you next on Monday night, June 16th, for NHRA Funny Car Racer Chris King. Until then, on behalf of John and the gang, my name's Bill. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you tonight. See you next week, everybody. Bye-bye.